Millionaire saw his clumsy employee help homeless people and made a proposal that changed her life. Imagine this. A cocky millionaire bets he can turn his clumsy employee into his girlfriend. Sounds nuts, right? Meet Jasper, Portland's tech king who's all about black coffee and big wins, and Lila, the girl who'd rather grill cheese than wear heels. One crazy deal, $1 million, and a whole lot of chaos later. Stick around to see how this mess turns into something real. Jasper Jazz Cole lounged against the slick glass railing on the 40th floor of Cascade Innovations, his steely gray eyes cutting through the Portland rain as it smeared a foggy haze over the Willamette River below. The black coffee in his grip steamed. Bitter as hell. No sugar, no cream, just how he liked it. A perfect match for the sharp, no-nonsense vibe of this 37-year-old tech mogul. He was the king of this city's digital empire, cold as the Oregon winter wind that howled through the pines, cocky as if the whole damn state bowed to the shine of his Italian leather shoes. His phone buzzed like a jackhammer on the desk, probably some sweaty-palmed partners begging for cash. But he didn't flinch, eyes locked on his laptop where quarterly revenue stats flickered like they were daring him to blink first. At 37, Jasper had built a fortress of success, and nothing, not rain, not numbers, not needy investors, could shake his throne. Then the door flew open with a bang that rattled the pristine silence. Dylan Dill Walsh stumbled in, looking like he'd just crawled out of a dive bar brawl, tie slung loose like a noose gone wrong, a half-empty IPA can fizz in his hand. "Man, you live drier than a dead printer, Jazz," Dylan snorted, flopping onto the black leather sofa with a thud that sent a faint echo bouncing off the minimalist walls. His words slurred just enough to hint at the beers he'd already downed. "I'd bet $5 million you don't even know what love's like. Probably think it's a line item on a spreadsheet." Jasper smirked, sipping his coffee, the bitter burn hitting his throat like a shot of defiance. "Money buys it all, bro. Name your bet, I'll crush it." Dylan's bloodshot eyes lit up with a mischievous glint, that half-cocked grin of a guy who lived for chaos. "Oh, really? $5 million says you can turn some nobody employee into your legit girlfriend in 3 months. You got the balls for that?" Jasper didn't hesitate, nodding sharp and quick, a spark of adrenaline flashing in his gaze like he'd just been handed a shiny new toy. "Piece of cake, dude. Grilled cheese level easy. Point me at the target." Dylan's grin widened, a sloppy, triumphant thing, and he jabbed a finger toward the rain-streaked window. "Out there? Take a look." Jasper stepped closer, squinting down at the street below. Under a flickering yellow streetlight, a girl stood in the drizzle, gray sweater frayed and sagging, brown hair a wild tangle like the wind had roughed it up good. She was handing out sandwiches to a scraggly bunch of homeless folks, huddled under a beat-up awning, her laugh loud and bright as she chatted with a bearded old guy. Then the last bag slipped from her hands, splashing into a muddy puddle, soaking her ripped sneakers. "Aw, crap, sorry, Marv, this damn rain," she hollered, scrambling to grab the mess, water dripping off her cuffs. Jasper's lip curled, half sneer, half disbelief. "That clumsy mess? She works here?" "Accounting, Lila Harper," Dylan said, cackling as he slapped Jasper's shoulder, nearly knocking the coffee loose. "So, King, you locking it in?" Jasper's smirk returned, that unbeatable glint of a guy who'd never lost a dime. "Hell yeah, it's locked!" The next morning, the Portland sun hadn't even peeked through the thick gray clouds when Lila Harper showed up on the 40th floor of Cascade Innovations. Her oversized gray sweater hung loose, looking like she'd fished it out of a dumpster, and her brown hair was a wild mess, as if she'd jogged through last night's rain without an umbrella, or worse, hadn't seen a mirror in days. She stood there, hands stuffed in a ratty old canvas bag, her torn sneakers caked with mud from the street below. Jasper Jazz Cole sprawled on the glossy black leather sofa, cradling a steaming mug of black coffee, bitter as sin, no sugar, No cream, just the way this cold-as-Oregon winter guy liked it. He scanned her from head to toe, eyebrows knitting together like he'd spotted a glitch in his perfect tech world matrix. "You're not seriously wearing that to the party tonight, are you?" His voice was dry, tinged with disbelief, as if she'd crash-landed from another planet into his sleek empire. Lila shrugged, nonchalantly pulling a grilled cheese sandwich from her bag and chomping down hard, melted cheese stringing onto her chin. "Why not? I'm not some doll you bought to stick in a display case." She chewed with gusto, brown eyes glaring at him, daring him to push back. Jasper rubbed his forehead, letting out a heavy sigh, the kind of sigh from a guy who'd never lost a fight, but was now staring down something way out of his league. "You're a freaking force of nature," he muttered, hauling himself up and waving a hand to make a call. 5 minutes later, a stylist squad barged in like a SWAT team. A frizzy-haired lady brandishing scissors, a prim guy clutching a notebook thick as a dictionary, and a young assistant lugging a shiny box of sky-high heels. They swarmed Lila like bees on a busted hive, shoving her into a sparkly silver sequin dress and forcing her clumsy feet into 10-inch stilettos sharp as switchblades. She managed 2 wobbly steps before her foot snagged the hem, sending her crashing to the floor with a loud rip as the dress tore from thigh to ankle. "I'd rather jump off the 40th floor than wear this crap," Lila yelled, scrambling up and rubbing her bruised knee. The frizzy-haired stylist gaped, the notebook guy dropped his tome, pages fluttering, and Jasper leaned against the doorframe, massaging his temples like a migraine was kicking in. "You're a living nightmare, Harper," he said, voice low, but a flicker danced in his gray eyes. Amusement, maybe, though his rich guy poker face stayed locked. He turned away, grumbling, "God help me! Why'd I sign up for this damn bet?" But his lip twitched, and Lila, still shooting daggers at him, caught it. That night, the ritzy hotel by the Willamette River glowed with chandelier light, the clink of wine glasses ringing through a crowd decked out in tuxes and gowns. Jasper looped his arm through Lila's, playing the perfect couple card for his bet with Dylan. She'd been stuffed into a new dress, jet black, tight, less glittery, but still making her look like a fish out of water. He rocked a sharp Armani suit, hair slicked back, a whiff of pricey cologne drifting off him. But 5 minutes in, disaster struck. Lila's hands shook like she'd had 10 coffees, and she dropped a whole tray. Bright red lobster, golden butter sauce, creamy mashed potatoes, right onto Jasper's pristine suit. Sauce splattered everywhere, hitting the chubby director nearby, his flushed face now streaked with yellow smears. The room froze, then erupted in laughter, loud as a circus crowd. Dylan Walsh, nursing an IPA in the corner, winked smugly. "Peak romance, Jazz. Top-tier stuff." Lila's face burned red, wiping her hands on the sweater she'd snuck under the dress, mumbling, "My hands were slippery, geez." Jasper glared, gray eyes blazing, but then he laughed, a rough, rusty sound like a guy who hadn't cracked up in years. "A disaster with a license," he said, ignoring the sauce dripping down his chest, watching her smear it worse on her sweater. The fat director wiped his face, grumbling about that psycho accountant. But Jasper didn't care. He smirked, wondering why her clumsiness felt oddly comforting. Lila refused to play Jasper's game. One gray Portland day, she snuck into the company kitchen, a spot Jasper never touched, all stainless steel and gleaming appliances. She rummaged through the fridge, pulling out leftovers. Cold chicken scraps, cheese crumbles, stale bread from last week. She fired up the oven, whipping up grilled cheese sandwiches, the golden melt wafting through the 40th floor. Jasper, buried in reports in the meeting room, sniffed the air, frowned, and wandered out. "What's that smell?" he asked, suspicious. Lila shoved a hot plate into his hands, grinning. "Try it, rich boy." He scowled, eyeing the sandwich like it might explode. "This stuff rotten?" but he took a bite, chewing slow, gray eyes pausing as if running a taste test. "Not bad," he mumbled, keeping his cool. Lila smirked, hands on hips. "Not bad, my ass. It's freaking delicious. Admit it." She beamed like she'd won a cooking show, and Jasper glanced at her, a spark flickering in his eyes. Intrigue, maybe something he wouldn't cop to. He turned away, sipping his coffee to hide it, but the warm cheese taste lingered in his head all morning. Another rainy day, Portland drowned in a white wash of water. Bored, Lila fiddled with Jasper's fancy Italian coffee machine he bragged about. She hit start, forgetting the carafe. Water gushed out. The machine hissed and smoked with a burnt stench. "Oh, crap!" she yelped, tossing a dish towel at it, splashing water everywhere. Jasper bolted from a Zoom call, sleeves rolled up, face pale, ditching confused partners mid-sentence. "What the hell are you doing?" he roared, yanking the plug and hauling the smoking wreck away. 2 months later, the 40th floor of Cascade Innovations had fallen under Lila Harper's reign, or rather, her glorious mess. Dried cheese stains clung to the black leather sofa like battle scars. Forgotten grilled cheese sandwiches stank up the fridge with a funky whiff, and a faint burnt stench from last week's coffee machine fiasco lingered in the air. Jasper Jazz Cole kept his cool exterior, that unshakable rich guy swagger of Portland's tech king, but every time Lila spilled coffee or bumped his desk, his lip twitched like he might crack a smile, though he fought it hard to preserve his icy image. One day, he stood by the 40th floor window, watching her down on the street, her frayed gray sweater flapping in the wind as she handed out sandwiches to homeless folks. He gripped his black coffee tight, wondering why he'd noticed the ratty sweater she'd left on his chair, something he'd usually toss without a second thought. Then, one rainy night, it all shattered like the mug he'd drop later. Jasper had left his laptop on the break room table after a marathon Zoom with Silicon Valley suits. Lila, nosy as a stray cat, plopped down and started poking around. She clicked his inbox, and an email from Dylan Walsh hit her like a punch. "How's the bet going, Jazz? 5 mil says that accountant chick falls for you. Don't choke." Her stomach dropped, like she'd plummeted from the 40th floor. Hands shaking, she scrolled. An old email, 5 years back, from Cascade, signed by Jasper. "Nobody invests in do-gooder crap. Food truck charity? Get lost." That rejection had crushed her dreams, landing her under a bridge, scraping by on stale bread and rainwater. And now, she was just a pawn in his latest game. She shot up, eyes red and watery, hands trembling as Jasper walked in with his coffee. "What the hell is this?" she rasped, shoving the laptop at him, voice choking. He froze, the mug slipping from his grip, smashing on the hardwood, coffee pooling like dark blood. "Lila, he stammered, his rich kid cool evaporating for the first time. "A bet? I'm your damn toy?" she screamed, jabbing a finger in his face, tears spilling like the rain outside. "You wrecked my life once, and now you're screwing with me again? Drop dead, Jasper!" She bolted, clutching her torn canvas bag, charging into Portland's downpour without looking back. "Lila!" he yelled, voice breaking, but she vanished into the dark, rain pounding the streets. She wandered in the deluge, sweater soaked and heavy, the cold biting to her bones. Her head spun, Jasper's smiles, those grilled cheeses, the kitchen laughs, all fake, just props for his $5 million win over Dylan. She collapsed at an old bus stop, its rusted roof leaking, water dripping onto her hair. Fever burned through her, lips turning blue as she shivered. "You're so stupid, Lila," she whispered, tears mixing with rain streaking her face. Meanwhile, Jasper tore out of the building, leaping into his glossy black SUV, flooring it through Portland. Rain lashed the windshield, headlights slicing through dark alleys, his mind a mess, like the wires Lila fried last week. Was he panicking over the bet or her? His Italian shoes were mud-caked as he screeched around a corner, spotting her slumped on a wet bench. "Lila!" He jumped out, scooping her up. Her weak fists thumped his chest. "Let go," she mumbled, then passed out. He gunned it back to the office, breath ragged, sinking with the storm. She woke on the 40th floor sofa, wrapped in a thick blanket Jasper had dug up, dim light casting shadows on his face. He sat close, holding a pot of charred soup, sheepish. "Tried making this, burned half of it." Lila glared, voice hoarse. "Get lost." He didn't budge, gray eyes raw with rare honesty. "I screwed up. Back then, and now. I don't want to lose you." She turned away, tears rolling onto the pillow. "You don't get it. You broke me twice." Jasper bowed his head, fingers digging into the chair, knuckles white. "I don't expect forgiveness yet. But I'm not going anywhere." He set the burnt soup down, walked out, footsteps heavy on the floor, leaving her with the rain tapping the glass and a sharp ache in her chest. The next morning, as the Portland rain eased up, Jasper parked an old beat-up truck in front of the Cascade Innovations building, its sides sloppily painted with Lila's sandwiches. He tossed the keys at Lila Harper as she stepped out, her sleepy brown eyes blinking in confusion. "What's this?" she asked, voice scratchy. "Your dream," Jasper replied, his gray eyes flickering with a rare hint of awkwardness. "Why'd you do it?" Lila squinted, suspicious. "'Cause I was an idiot who didn't see it sooner," he shrugged. They started fresh, Jasper driving the truck like a rookie, tires splashing through puddles, while Lila grilled sandwiches in the cramped space, melted cheese wafting along the Willamette River as they handed them out for free. He dropped a chunk of cheese, and she elbowed him. "You suck at this. You'd burn the house down." Jasper shot back. "You're the real disaster." They bickered non-stop, but laughter crept in, pulling them closer. But Dylan Walsh wouldn't let it slide. That night, at the company party in a swanky riverside hotel, he staggered in drunk, IPA can in hand, and bellowed to the crowd, "Jazz win that bet yet? Lila's the prize, folks." The room went dead silent, directors pausing mid-lobster bite. Lila's face flushed, and she bolted for the door, her frayed sweater flapping in the wind. Jasper chucked his coffee cup, slamming a fist into Dylan's face. "Shut your damn mouth, asshole," he roared. Dylan hit the deck, clutching his nose, but Jasper didn't glance back, chasing after Lila. He found her in the parking lot, splashing gas on Lila's sandwiches, lighter trembling in her hand as flames sparked in the rain. "I'm not your freaking game," she sobbed, tears mixing with smoke. Jasper lunged, bare hands smothering the fire, scorching his skin, the acrid stench hitting his nose. "I love you, not the bet," he shouted, wrapping her in a tight grip amid the half-dead blaze. Lila shoved him back, eyes red and raw. "Prove it, you liar." He called a repair crew that night, hands bandaged, standing watch as she grilled sandwiches in the singed truck, never stepping away. Later, under heavy rain, Lila wiped the counter and slipped on the wet floor. Jasper caught her, hands on her waist, their faces inches apart. Their breaths hitched, brown eyes locking with gray. He kissed her hard, the smell of smoke and rain blending, gripping her like she might vanish. "Just us," he whispered. She kissed back, eyes wet, clinging to his shoulders. "You're nuts." They stood there in the downpour, hearts burning brighter than the truck's dying embers. Under Portland's misty drizzle, Jasper Cole knelt beside the sandwich truck, a cheap ring pinched between his fingers. "Marry me, Lila," he said, voice low and steady. Lila Harper shook her head, brown eyes firm as steel. "Not till I stop hating that smug face of yours, rich boy." Jasper stayed quiet, rain soaking through his shirt, but they didn't split. Instead, Lila patched up the truck, turning it into a fleet of 3 that roamed Portland, dishing out free sandwiches. Jasper ditched his suits, fumbling with the grill, churning out charred messes. "Your lattes suck," he griped. She elbowed him, laughing loud. "Better than you burning the house down." Their banter filled the air, a rhythm that drew them tighter. A rival company rolled out a flashy sandwich truck by the Willamette River, banners blazing. Jasper jumped in, slinging free lattes, spilling milk everywhere, while Lila cranked out sandwiches at double speed, melted cheese wafting through the streets. Customers flocked their way, and the competition crashed and burned, gone in a week. Marv, a scruffy-bearded ex-engineer, tinkered on the trucks, sharing his story. "Lost my job in the crash. You saved me, Lila." She hugged him, eyes misty. "You saved me too, old man." One rare sunny day, Jasper showed up with Rosie, a scrappy orphan with tangled hair. "Adopted her. You taught me kindness," he said, gray eyes gleaming. Lila scooped Rosie up, tears spilling. "You're freaking crazy." They kissed. No rain, just soft sunlight. The first time Portland saw them calm. Jasper sold his penthouse, moving into a little house by the river with Lila and Rosie. The trucks glowed every night. Dylan Walsh, making amends, funded another rig, hollering, "Lost the bet! Won at life, Jazz!" "You wrecked my life good," Jasper said, hugging Lila tight, Rosie snoozing on his shoulder. "Made it tastier, too," she quipped, pinching him, her grin wide as the sky. Hey, if you loved Jasper and Lila's wild ride, from grilled cheese disasters to that rainy kiss, hit that like button. It's free and makes my day. Subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss what's next. Will Jasper ever stop burning sandwiches? Drop a comment. Team Jasper or Team Lila? And share this with your crew. Let's see who'd take $1 million bet. Catch you in the next one.